Isn't it strange how the people who've hurt you the most are often the ones you just can't get out of your head? I mean, that one friend who betrayed you, they take up so much more real estate in your mind than the 10 who are always there for you. So we're going to dive into this because this isn't some flaw in your character, it's actually your brain's ancient programming doing its thing.
So why? Why does our brain do this? Why does it seem to roll out the red carpet for every negative experience, replaying them over and over, while all the good moments, they just seem to fade away? It's a really important question, because understanding the answer is, seriously, the first step to getting your mental space back.
I mean, this just says it all, doesn't it? We all know this feeling. One tiny drop of criticism can feel like it poisons an entire ocean of praise. It feels so unfair, but it's a completely universal human thing, and today we're going to find out exactly why it happens.
To really get this, I want you to picture your mind in a very specific way. Think of it like a museum, but it's a pretty specialized one.
See, every single person who's ever hurt you or made you feel small has left a mark. And I don't mean a metaphorical one, I mean an actual physical mark in your neural circuitry. Your brain basically carves out these little pathways, creating a super detailed exhibit for every single wound. And meanwhile, all the joy and acceptance, yeah, that's kind of like the faded wallpaper in the background. You've basically become the curator of your own museum of pain, just walking past the same exhibits day after day.
So why on earth would our brains be designed this way? It seems completely backward, right? Well, the answer isn't in our modern world. It's buried deep in our evolutionary past.
For our ancestors, being part of a tribe wasn't just a nice to have. It was everything. Getting rejected by the group literally meant death. So your brain evolved to treat social pain, things like betrayal or being excluded, with the same life or death urgency as, say, a broken leg. It had to remember who was a threat so you wouldn't make the same mistake twice. This was never about holding a grudge. It was a pure survival mechanism.
And what's really fascinating is that this ancient programming actually has a name in modern psychology. It's called the negativity bias. It's the formal recognition that, yeah, our brains are just wired from the factory to give way more attention and memory space to bad stuff than to good stuff.
And this chart just shows you how crazy powerful that bias is. Research shows that negative events have something like 3 to 5 times more psychological impact than a positive event of the exact same intensity. So think about that. It takes a handful of good days just to cancel out the feeling of one bad day. The deck is totally stacked against positivity from the get-go. And this is the absolute key. You have to get this. This whole system, it isn't designed to make you happy or fulfilled. Not at all. It's a survival machine. From a purely evolutionary view, remembering a threat is way more important than remembering a pleasure. Missing out on something nice is a bummer. Walking into danger can get you killed.
Okay, so we've got this ancient wiring. But there's a mental habit that we all do right now in the modern world that just pours gasoline on that fire. It's what we call the rumination trap.
You know this feeling all too well. You're lying in bed, it's 2 in the morning, and your brain suddenly decides the perfect time to replay that super embarrassing thing you said at a party 5 years ago. That's rumination. Your brain thinks it's helping. It's convinced that if it just goes over and over and over that painful memory, it'll find a solution or some hidden lesson. But it's a trick.
And this is where the cycle gets really nasty. See, every time you replay that memory, you're not solving anything. You're actually strengthening its neural pathway. You're essentially training your brain to get better and faster at remembering that specific piece of pain, which makes it even more likely to just pop into your head in the future.
Just think about that for a second. The original event, it's over, it's done. The person who hurt you has probably moved on and isn't thinking about you at all. But through rumination, you are the one inflicting that same pain on yourself again and again. Your brain is trying to protect you, but in reality, it's keeping you stuck.
All right, so that's the problem, and that's the why, and yeah, it can feel a little bleak. But here is the good news. You are not powerless here. You can absolutely break free from this ancient programming. So, let's talk about how we actually fix this.
The way out is basically a 3-part process, and it moves from just understanding to taking action. It all starts with awareness, just noticing, without beating yourself up, when your mind gets caught in that loop. Then you have to actively balance the story your brain is telling you. And finally, you get to closure, not by waiting for someone to give it to you, but by creating it yourself.
Let's zoom in on that second step, balance. This is where you actually have to fight back, because your brain will not do this for you. So the moment you catch yourself replaying that one critical comment from your boss, you have to interrupt that thought. Just stop. And then deliberately force yourself to remember 3 specific compliments you've received. I know, it feels unnatural, maybe even a little silly at first, but what you're doing is a physical act. You are literally carving out new neural pathways to compete with the old painful ones.
And that third step is all about letting go of a fantasy. The fantasy that one day, the person who hurts you is going to show up with this perfect apology that magically makes everything better. That's a trap. It keeps you waiting. Real closure is an internal decision. It's the moment you stop handing them the keys to your own emotional state and decide for yourself that the past doesn't get to run your present anymore.
Which really brings us to the most important, most empowering truth in all of this. It's about who's in control of your story.
It's really as simple as that. They are probably out there living their lives, not giving you a second thought. And yet, here they are, living rent-free in your head, messing with your mood and your choices. You are giving them a power they no longer have, and they certainly don't deserve it.
So here's the bottom line. Yes, they were a chapter in your story. Maybe it was a really painful one. But you are the one holding the pen now. You get to decide which chapters you reread and which ones you close for good. You decide if your story is going to be about your wounds or if it's going to be about your resilience.
And let's be super clear about something. This has nothing to do with letting people off the hook or forgiving them if you're not ready. This is about something way more personal and way more powerful. It's about freeing yourself from the prison of your own mind. It's about taking back all that energy for your present and for your future.
Your brain's ancient programming, it's made pain the loudest voice in your head for a long, long time, all because it was trying to keep you safe. But now you know why it's shouting, and you have the power to turn down the volume and listen to the other voices, the ones of joy and strength and acceptance. The only question left is, what are you going to choose to listen to now?